Hello everyone, this is Bob and Threadbare, and welcome back to LA Noire.
Earl Phelps, a shooting at the 111 Club, 6232 Hollywood Boulevard.
Sounds like a homicide beef.
Two of the dead guys caught in the crossfire were carrying Army surplus morphine. Get over there before homicide tramples all over the place.
We already cleared that up.
Judge in Pasadena took the big sleep yesterday. He had a personal stash of 20 cigarettes. Appears we didn't get all of it.
You look like you were a big pain in the neck.
This guy was willing to
Now
rat
I'm
his
gonna
own mother after I'd sweated him.
God damn it. Just can't seem to put this morphine to sleep.
A dead judge. It's not good.
Everyone has their vices. Even you, Phelps.
I was door knocking all morning, but I got a make on the car in the end.
So I guess the idea is that Homicide will handle the murder itself, but Vice will follow this alternate trail. I guess that's how it's supposed to work, but
You know the way. You can drive.
well, much like the murders on the traffic desk, it doesn't actually work that way.
Parker and Green are going toe-to-toe for the top job. There's a change in the wind.
About time.
This wind will be like a tornado, Phelps. Parker's got a puritanical streak. You never know we'll get swept up in a thing like that.
He's got a point. Puritans aren't well known for, prosecuting only the guilty.
Harmony is right here.
Homicide guys are already inside.
Officer,
Bukowski,
please tell me what's
Phelps, back again. We're here about the morphine. Over by the bandstand. You can see what's left of the owner, Eddie McGoldrick, 26, former Marine.
I know Eddie McGoldrick. He was a non-com in my old unit.
I'm sorry to hear that, Cole. Waitress said he recently came into some money and bought the club.
Who are the other Vics?
Two musicians, Biddleston and Bowe. And get this, they used to be in a four-piece, but the trombone player and the drummer OD'd.
Don't tell me. Lamont and Tyree? We've met the rest of the band.
Now they're a no-piece.
Do you mind if we take a look around?
Be my guest. You might want a word with the hostess, too. I'll keep her company until you're ready.
Oh, Roy.
Must have pumped a dozen rounds into him. Certainly sends a message.
Yeah, but I guess we're not going to search his pockets because he's leaning up, instead of just flat out on the ground. Cole is very specific about the kind of bodies he searches. Damn it. I was thinking that thing on the table might be something, but it's not coming up.
When you're ready to have a civil conversation, we can try again.
I think she's saying that to Bukowski. Which, that makes sense. Man, this place got messed up. I mean, there looks like there was an active fight here.
Well maintained, custom case. Someone cared for this instrument.
Like, it wasn't just some guy coming in, shooting up the place, and then running away. There's way too much upturned furniture for that. Sure has a lot of mouthpieces. Oh.
What's that click?
Maybe there's a pattern. Wow.
Neat trick. The case must have cost more than the trumpet. I think I've seen it all.
There's actually no pattern. We'll just do that.
He kept his stash close at hand.
It's a little excessive, though.
We should follow up on the musician angle.
But why would he keep a ticket in his drug paraphernalia thing? this is the other body. Other musician, I should say.
Do we have a new source, or is this coming from what's left in circulation?
I wonder if that's his trumpet case or not. Damn it. Trying to move the hand, but... Yeah, speaking of hands, that's not anything. Guess he wasn't holding anything. Yeah, like usual, there's really nothing to see aside from what's in his pockets. What's with that fan? What the hell is that cooling? Oh, wow. It's a lot of cigarettes.
A dozen packs to a carton, 100 cartons or more. Looks like a couple of months' supply.
For the entire building, yeah.
These look brand new. Never fired. They haven't been degreased yet. We could check on the serial numbers.
Is this guy hunting for bear? Look at these things.
They're BARs. You get the odd guy who sneaks one of them home from the war. How did he get 3 of them?
It's an automatic rifle.
Army surplus morphine, Army surplus weapons, Army surplus valors. Sound familiar?
We should get back to the station and check the details of what exactly was lifted from that ship.
Is right here by Miss Evelyn.
Ma'am, I'm Detective Phelps, Administrative Vice Squad.
Welcome to the 111 Club, Detective. Feels like I've had half the LAPD in here today already.
Any idea who did the shooting?
No idea. It was my day off. If I had been here, honey, I'd be full of holes just like the others.
Could have some idea about it, though.
You want to level with me, miss, before we start taking an interest in you.
This place has been on the slide for years. Eddie turns up, buys the club, then we start getting visits from tough guys. Next thing you know, we have the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Are you getting the picture?
Tell us about Eddie.
Eddie didn't know a thing about running a nightclub. He came into some money and waltzed in and bought the place. The previous owner thought all his Christmases had come at once.
You're lying. Eddie had enemies. You must have seen them.
They allow you to booze on the job, Detective? It's giving you funny ideas.
You're off the hook. For now. Where do you think he got the money?
My guess was that he was selling the sort of quality product that you don't need to advertise.
Thank you for your help, ma'am.
Eddie was in over his head, but he was a decent boss.
It's, glad you told me. Fortunately, Bukowski doesn't have anything else to add, so...
Never the same, are they?
Now, what's in here? Well, I missed this.
Bad luck, Eddie. Okinawa couldn't kill you, but knowing the wrong people in this city...
I guess he must not have any clues on him since the music stopped, but it's interesting that we can come in here.
They didn't even try to crack the safe.
Well, that limits motivations. Like, if it weren't obvious enough that this was a message.
Officer, please tell me what's going on.
Alright. Well, we could stop by the station, check up on that manifest, like Roy said. Or we could go with the musician angle, which is...
Can you drive to this one?
pretty obviously a red herring. I mean, detectives would do it anyway because they need to cover all the angles, but still, does seem a bit of a trip out of our way. And to the Blue Room, no less. Been here before.
Everything is fine.
Take a break, boys.
We would like them to stay, Miss Lickman. We're making inquiries into the recent deaths of 4 musicians.
Since when have the police cared about dead black men?
Good point. We don't. What we care about is 2 tons of Army surplus morphine showing up on the street. If you care about working in this town, you better give me something on Biddleston and Bow, or their knucklehead buddies Tyree and Lamont.
And this is your idea of making inquiries, Untersturmführer?
I've told you 1,000 times about speaking that German gibberish at me, Elsa.
Roy! How about you get a drink while I see to this?
Will you sit down?
Why antagonize him, Elsa? You know what he's capable of.
Ask your questions, head officer. We have work to do.
People are dying of overdoses. If you know anything about it, you need to tell me.
I can't help you.
A lot of cats are into the thing. There's nothing special about your boys.
You can do this the easy way with me, or I can call my partner back over. I can assure you he's a lot less sensitive.
You think your threats frighten me?
Black man don't supply nothing. You think there's a black man in this town holding on to 2 tons of morphine? He'd be dead in a minute. White man supplies, black man buys.
Does seem fairly obvious.
My partner mentioned a couple of names. You recognize them?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
The only way you're going to get rid of me is to give me an answer.
I knew Cornell. We worked together a few years ago. He loved the music, but the music didn't love him.
What does that mean?
It means that he just wasn't that good. He was a sad, lonely cat.
Boys, take 5 minutes, please. I need to have a private word with the officer. Why do you ask people to risk talking about a subject that could have them jailed?
Drugs are against the law, Elsa.
You're so full of courage, you have never felt ashamed.
This is getting us nowhere.
Do you think you'll win your war against narcotics?
It's not my war. It's against the law. My job is to prosecute the laws of this city.
Do you think you can stop people from needing drugs, detective?
I'm asking the questions here.
Then why do you come to me with your stupid questions? You know who controls the drugs in this city.
It's not enough to just survive, Elsa. You have to try and make the world a better place.
Brave words, and very noble. But words are just words, Colfax.
He's right. We need to pay a visit to the Mixter.
Cohen? Do you know where to find him?
This time of day? You'll find him holding court at the Macambo.
He can wait. There's something I need to be sure of. Give me till tomorrow morning.
Don't do anything I wouldn't do, partner.
Alright, so instead of following up on the investigation, which we could have done immediately, we're cutting to later that evening and tailing Elsa in what is going to be a very long and very quiet tailing job. So I'm just going to be cutting here soon. But yeah, this whole segment here just feels completely tacked on, like crowbarred in to this particular investigation. I'm talking like there's no justification for this, aside from the fact that, oh wait, that's right, Cole has been in an illicit relationship with Elsa for probably months now. We should probably show that at some point. Oh, and give the two characters some time to talk to each other so we can see what horrible chemistry they have together. Yeah, this has to happen for one of the later plot points to make any sense at all. But its place in this case, and in no other cases, aside from him, visiting the Blue Room on occasion, it's entirely tacked on. It's like, oh shit. What the hell happened to his hat? I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. But yeah, I can only chalk this one up to the troubled development cycle behind this game. That this is something that should have happened earlier, should have been more integrated in with the rest of the story, but they dropped the ball completely until it was almost too late. It was almost time to send the actors home, Anyway, nice to see that Cole actually has his own car. Now let's get back to the case already in progress.
LAPD, we're looking for Mayor Cohen. I believe he has lunch here.
There's not going to be any trouble, is there?
Which table?
Number 3, if you'll follow me.
I'm going up to the lakes to watch the races on Saturday.
Food wasn't great, but you're real nice.
LAPD, we have some questions
Hi,
regarding...
Mickey. How's it hanging?
Fine. Just fine, Roy. I see you brought Iga Beaver along. Hope he's not going to put the shakes on me again.
Cole Phelps, Mickey Cohen.
Good afternoon.
He has manners. Aren't you a little green for this kid?
Meet Johnny Stompanato, Cole. He has the biggest schlong in Hollywood and the smallest gun. Or maybe that's the other way around. I can never quite remember.
You're a funny guy, Roy. Haven't I always said what a funny guy Roy is? And how much fun it would be to get together with him sometime?
Poor Johnny. He's the dark, sensitive type. He's a serviceman too, Cole. Johnny was at Okinawa.
You were in the crotch?
6th Marines.
The lieutenant who won the Silver Star up on Sugarloaf. I've heard of you.
Something like that.
All right, have we finished flirting? You got something to discuss, Roy, or are you going to stand around beating the meat while my lunch gets cold?
We have some questions.
Do I need my lawyer?
Yeah, probably.
Your brother-in-law, Lenny Finkelstein, was selling stolen morphine. He had 1/3 of the shipment.
Old news, kid. I don't know anything about what Lenny was up to.
So I'm supposed to believe that you don't know what happened to the rest of the shipment?
Lenny, God rest his soul, was a moron. He was family, though, and I haven't made a beef about that, so count yourself lucky, kid. The H is a filthy habit, and I don't condone it. The simple solution would be to have all the dope fiends put down.
So you don't know where he got the morphine?
Kid, ask a question you might get an answer to.
We believe there's a link between a group of Marines and the morphine stolen from the SS Coolidge. One of those Marines was shot to death in a club last night.
I wouldn't know anything about that.
I'll bet.
I think you're lying. I think the 111 Club was your men. I think you're trying to send a message.
I'll send you a message, kid. You better have some proof that that was one of mine, or else you better have health insurance, huh?
It's nothing personal. I'm just doing my job. You understand that? So you haven't heard anything about what happened at the 111 Club?
What can I say, kid? I'm shocked that in the land of opportunity, Uncle Sam's finest feel the need to resort to crime. It's a dangerous business. I can attest to that. I'd recommend they get out of the life. Quickly.
A few Negroes saying goodbye on the sidewalk will never make the papers, Mickey. But we had a judge in Pasadena say adios the other day. Prominent white people popping their clogs makes everyone nervous.
You know dope has never been my thing, Roy. It's always been for schmendricks like Jack D. and Jimmy Utley. But I'll ask around and I'll get back to you. Hey, you boys want some lunch? How about a drink?
We'll take a rain check on that. Come on, Cole, we're leaving.
We have to cut that dope. It looks bad with people dying.
We have to get the rest of it. There's no way of watering down the stuff in those little packages. We have to put the squeeze on those guys and get the rest of it.
They don't seem the type to frighten that easy.
We'll see.
What's going on?
That fucking rat Stoker has gone public about Brenda.
Who is Brenda?
Brenda is LA's most famous madam.
And everyone knows it?
Of course everyone knows. Brenda pays her way.
Are we cops or a collection agency?
Whores have been around since the Bible. Our job is to keep it off the street so Joe Citizen and his wife can stroll around unmolested.
Then we should change the law.
Are you out of your mind? Every politician in America is against prostitution, except when they're using them.
So where does Stoker come in?
He objects to the LAPD and the administration taking its cut.
Is everyone in on this?
Yeah, and that's the problem. From a little acorn does a large tree grow. He could bring the whole thing crashing down on us. Aren't you supposed to be working the...
Sir, do you know which robbery detectives are working the Army surplus theft from the Coolidge?
Caldwell and McManus. I saw Caldwell in the squad room not long ago if you want to speak to him.
Thank you, sir. We'll do that.
This way.
That bum took a swipe at me, I'd put him down with my sap.
Harry, you got a minute?
Sure, Cole, anytime.
You've been working the docks robbery on the SS Coolidge?
Yeah, that's right.
So how do you see it?
Inside job. Either the guys working the wharves or some of the guys on the ship.
What else was taken apart from the morphine?
Case of BARs, case of Thompsons, crate of Valor smokes.
Homicide just recovered 3 BARs and a mountain of cigarettes at a shooting at the 111 Club.
No kidding. I better get over there.
Do you have a copy of the manifest?
Yeah. Here it is.
So, how do we connect the docks robbery to the mess at the 111 Club?
Well, some of these names look awfully familiar.
I need a drink.
But that's not what we're supposed to tap on.
Case was thrown out. Now the DA wants my head.
500,000 cigarettes loose on the streets of LA.
Mouthpiece tore strips
This is
off
the
by
crate
the
we
grand
recovered.
Jury. Case was thrown out. Now the DA wants
Here's
my
our
head.
backroom arsenal from the 111 Club. Enough to arm 3 companies. Some of these guys are from my old unit. They must have finally shipped home. Kelso, Sheldon, McGoldrick.
McGoldrick was on the boat?
Sure, we checked him out.
McGoldrick bought the 111 Club, Harry. His brains are all over the bar.
Looks like whoever stole the dope is getting muscled.
By whom?
Dragner or Cohen. They control the hop.
Detectives, KGPL's going crazy. Shots fired at 1384 North Bronson. Some guy with an automatic spraying a Hollywood bus. They want every car. Go!
By the way, in case you were wondering why Cole was so familiar with McGoldrick, is because he is, or was, going to be the partner on the missing burglary desk. Another part of the game which had to be dropped during development. Yeah, we gotta get there fast, so this time I'll do the driving. I said we gotta get there fast, Roy, come on. Get the lead out.
How well did you know the owner?
Goldrick? Well enough. He was in my unit.
That's some cruel irony. You survive the war, then get blown to pieces back home.
It happens more than you think. Young guys trying to adjust to normal life, getting mixed up in the wrong crowds.
The kid had just bought a nightclub. I'd say he got mixed up in the right crowds.
Until someone filled him full of holes.
You don't come into that kind of money that quickly without pissing a few people off.
All units, officers need help at 1384 North Bronson. 1384 North Bronson, shots fired. Any units to handle identify. Code 3. All units, further on the shooting at 1384 North Bronson. 116 Adam reports the suspect is on the roof of the J.W. Robinson building. All units approach with caution. Units 49 William, 15 Adam, go to 1370 Gordon Street. The establish a perimeter and stand by for further. Any other units to respond. Code 3 identified. Unit 19 Adams, lead the officer at 5920 Fountain Avenue. Assist Unit 29.
Okay, I just nailed him like 3 times in the head, so I'm guessing I'm gonna have to go up there.
Officer down at 1384 North Bronson. Ambulance is en route. Repeating, all units. Officers still need help on Bronson. Approach with extreme caution.
Okay, that's just a seam in the wall. Ah, here we go. I believe I took the safer route to get up here. You could also go around the other side of the building.
LAPD, drop the gun now! You're covered, Phelps.
I'm not covered. I'm up here all by myself. Amazing more people didn't die. I mean, the sound of that bus would not stop a BAR round.
It's one of the BARs.
Wait, so how did the gangsters get a hold of the BARs? Were the soldiers selling those too, along with the morphine? That does not seem wise. I mean, sure, they kept a few for themselves, but still.
Phone number and restaurant table.
Wonder if that counts as evidence against, Cohen.
Eugene C. Wynn.
Ah, good.
I know that guy. Felix Alvaro.
He's one of the guys from the ship?
His name was on the manifest.
Looks like McGoldrick wasn't the only one to get a message.
It was in that book, too.
Hey, Alvaro.
Hey, Lieutenant.
He's just a plain detective now, Chico.
Who's the jughead?
This is my partner, Roy Earl. We just want to find out what happened.
What happened is that someone took a shot at my bus. And then cops turned up and start treating me like I'm some sort of Pachuco punk. My people have been in California for over 300 years.
Very fucking admirable, Felix.
You hear anything about the big heist on the Coolidge?
Yeah, I heard about it.
So what happened?
Not much. The cops came and interviewed me and all the other guys on the ship.
I was down at the 111 Club this morning, waiting for the medical examiner to scrape Eddie McGoldrick's brains off the bar. You want to tell me anything about that?
I heard that Eddie came into some money. Too bad he didn't keep a low profile. It's a tough break to get through Okinawa and then have to buy it back home.
That's what Roy said, too.
Who's shooting at you, Felix?
How the fuck do I know?
The dead guy on the roof works for Mickey Cohen. Why would Cohen want you dead?
Man, I don't know anything about Mickey Cohen or any of those gangsters.
Well, they know about you. For some reason that counts for a lie.
Your name was in the sniper's notebook. Level with me, Felix.
Cohen thinks because we were on the boat, we have the morphine. Courtney's meeting those guys to sort it out.
Courtney Sheldon?
Yeah. You remember Sheldon, don't you, Cole?
We'll be in touch, Felix.
You heard that Jack is in L.A.?
I saw his name on the manifest.
He's been here a couple of months. Sure glad to see you got over your wound, Lieutenant. I mean, Detective.
Pretty cool customer.
He's been under fire before.
You buying his story?
Not for a minute.
Alright, where are we headed next? I guess we're heading back to the police station. Oh, wait. Almost missed it. The game well's lit up.
Phelps, badge 1247.
How can I help, Detective?
I need an address on a Jack Kelso.
Just a second. Jack Kelso, apartment 4, 1408 North El Centro Avenue, Hollywood.
Thanks, ma'am.
Alright, guess that's where we're headed now. Although I do wonder why we're looking for him and not Courtney Sheldon, who's been more directly implicated than Kelso was.
You drive. I need to go over the case.
So far as we know, Kelso is on the boat. Courtney is going to talk to some gangsters. We might want to catch up with him first.
Jack was a company sergeant. He would never get involved in something like this.
We brace him and drag him downtown.
Won't work. He's a tough customer.
I guess that's what we're doing now.
Hello, Jack. This is Detective Roy Earl.
Hello, Cole.
We would like a word.
Would you like to come inside?
Actually, we'd prefer if you'd come downtown with us. Do you mind?
Do I have any choice?
No. You don't.
Are you going to tell me what this is all about?
It would be better for all of us if we discussed it at the station.
Bad move, Cole.
Yeah, seriously, why?
How have you been, Jack?
Cut the crap. You pick me up in front of my apartment like a common criminal and then expect small talk? Fuck you.
Do you know that there's a gang war going on in LA trying to recover that stolen morphine?
That has nothing to do with me.
I'm sure it would be gripping to hear more of your life story, boys, but the truth is, I don't give a fuck. You were on the boat, Kelso. What happened?
Do you really think a bunch of Marines could muscle in on the dope rackets in this town? Between the Vice Squad and the mob, I hear it's pretty sewn up.
You better watch your mouth.
Did you know that Eddie McGoldrick recently came into money and bought a nightclub?
No, I didn't know that.
Quit lying to me, Jack. You know what's going on. You've been in this with Eddie from the start.
I'd want to have something solid to back up what I was saying if I was you.
Sorry. My mistake. And you didn't know that some mobsters blew his brains out last night?
No, I didn't.
You heard that a crate of BARs went missing?
No, I didn't.
You're not a good liar, Jack. I know you want to help your guys, but this has gone too far.
If you believe I had anything to do with the theft of the BARs, or the morphine for that matter, I suggest you produce some evidence.
Sorry. Sometimes you have to shake the tree to see what falls out. I saw Felix Alvaro today.
Good. How was he?
A little pale. One of Mickey Cohen's goons had emptied about 60 BAR rounds into the bus he was driving. A public bus, in the middle of Hollywood. Are you going to tell me what's going on? Or do more innocent people have to die?
Yeah, and what's in it for you, Cole? Newspapers? More glory? Another promotion? Another medal at the expense of men who fought for their country? Count me out.
What about the innocent people?
What do you know about the Army surplus robbery from the Coolidge, Jack?
What I know is that on 3 separate occasions you would have been dead if it weren't for me. I don't know anything about the robbery.
People are dying because morphine intended to help servicemen is being used on the street. Now we have guys from our old unit being killed by mobsters. We can put 2 and 2 together, Jack.
Gratitude isn't a concept that has much effect on you, is it, Cole?
Answer the question, Jack. Let's get this over with.
I was interviewed when the robbery took place. I don't have anything further to add.
Jack, we just want information.
Bullshit, Cole. Did you seriously believe that dragging me down here would get me to give up my own guys? You call yourself a Marine? Trying to make a name for yourself with this shitheel? Look at this chump with his $200 suit and $2,000 car.
The tough guy act is really impressive. I like you, Jack. I'd like to make you for this. I really would. I'm going to be working on it and keeping an eye on you. You can go now.
Shooting, Robert Steiner, 6780 West Sunset Boulevard. The victim is a Chris Majowski.
Another name from the manifest?
All right, back on the streets.
Friends of yours are gonna get plugged.
But yeah, seriously, Jack Kelso was withholding information out of a personal grudge.
Talk about tension. That was like being trapped in an elevator with a married couple who can't decide whether they love each other or hate each other.
You go back a long way.
You went too easy on him. Next time, you leave it to me. I know how to handle that smug son of a bitch.
You don't. Jack will never give up his own men.
Any Central unit, suspect to be taken into custody at Southern California Auto Club. Stand by for further unit to handle identifying code 2.
Take the next right.
Oh, we're already here. I think we ran through this parking lot once.
They just walked up and shot the man. 2 of them officers, they went that way.
Go on, get after him.
They only very recently went that way, it turns out. Where'd all that road construction come from?
It's no good. We need to get closer. Hit him. Clear this asshole off the road. Step on it, huh? Just give me a little closer.
Doing the best I can here. Can only do so much against the rubber banding.
I can't take the shot from here, Cole. Hit him, Cole. Spin him out.
Yeah, well, that was just him getting away.
I can't hit a target that isn't there, Phelps.
Quit complaining. Jesus, you're loud.
Getting close. Steer him off the tar. Step on it, huh? Just give me a little closer.
Less talking, more shooting. Come on. Anyway, I don't think you're even allowed to,
Good. We need to get closer.
Yeah, you're not even allowed to, end this early, in this case. Because this particular... Yeah, trying to get the shotgun out of the trunk here. Yeah, this particular chase has to end in this alley.
I'm wide open here.
Come on. There we go. Alright, let's see what we can find on this poor asshole. Uh-oh.
An LAPD file. We have a traitor in our midst. All of the names on the list have a hit team assigned to them.
It's on the right there. Looks like it's the Chinese theater and the post office we're heading to next. Oh, come on. I was trying to check his other pocket. There we go. Wasn't letting me move there directly.
Cohen is meeting with Sheldon tonight.
We need to get to those guys fast, otherwise there'll be no case.
More BARs. It's not letting me check this guy's body. But there is this.
We have to look at damage limitation. We can't allow that strumpet Brent Allen to bring down the whole administration.
We've got to put a lid on the press. Can't someone talk to Harry over at the Times?
It's too late. The Times would look ridiculous if we dropped the story now.
Who is this Stoker?
Stoker's a lily-white. Nothing that will fix this in the short term.
My law and order credentials are disappearing as we speak.
Can we get Brenda to leave town?
Yes, we can, but she won't go quietly. Brenda has extensive records.
Can she at least lay low?
That's already been taken care of.
Mayor? District Attorney?
Who is this guy? And what does he want, Horrell?
The name's Roy Earl, detective, administrative vice.
Aren't you one of the clowns that got us into this mess?
Oh, I think that the orders regarding Brenda come down, not up, Mayor. I have a human interest story. It involves a certain LAPD cop, a hero from the war, who has let his beautiful wife and kids down, who has betrayed America for a German junkie whore, who has abandoned his pledge to the LAPD and his commitment to the public. We all serve. Could be all over the papers by tomorrow, and you would be off the hook.
So what do you want in return, Roy? Fingering a fellow officer?
Oh, what doesn't Roy Earl want? But yeah, important historical note, by the way. The LA Times was in bed with the corruption, unlike in Chicago and New York, where the press actually was able to, help fight against it. Alright. Chinese theater next, I guess. Might as well.
You're behind the wheel.
But yeah, that's why they're going to throw away a big sex scandal in exchange for a little sex scandal.
They're taking out all the guys from the ship.
Why? How does that get them the dope?
The opposite don't know who has the morphine, and they're waiting for someone to crack.
Or they do know who has the morphine, and they're waiting for that person to crack. Which would make more sense. You don't want to kill the person who knows where the morphine is. Then you'd never get it. Even if someone did crack.
Getting close. Steer him off the tar.
And once again, we've arrived too late to do anything useful. Oh, hello there. Fortunately, we ran into one of those indestructible fences. Ah, there he is. Man, this guy is good at evading the police.
I can't take the shot from here, Cole. Hit him, Cole. Spin him out.
Now, unlike the last chase, this time I'm actually allowed to do something.
It isn't there, Phelps. Hit him. Clear this asshole off the road.
There we go. Yeah, you're not moving, are you?
LAPD, put your hands in the air.
In case you were wondering that it was not going to end better if I did anything differently. Alright, on to the post office.
You can drive.
I guess this time we managed to corner the assassins in the building. This cutscene sure is going on for a while, though. Alright, first let's clear out some of these guys. Whoa. Damn, he's fast. Well, luckily all of these count as cop cars, so I can just grab a submachine gun from one of them, nail a guy in the head, and then just end things. Well, much like that music.
Tell Courtney. Bad luck. Try. It was worth a try. God. Polar Bear Ice Company. Really did it. Wonder whether it was worth it.
Most people never get the chance to be rich. Wouldn't you risk it?
Wind up dead in a public shooting a few months later? Maybe not. Anyway, his jacket is half zipped up, so obviously we can't check its pockets. But the music's still going. So I guess there's some other evidence around here somewhere. Maybe it's behind this door in the back. Turns out it's not. No, there's nothing back there except a long waste of time. No, the real evidence is over here. The other guy who was on the list. He has something in his pocket.
Looks like Sheldon is bringing his own fire team with him.
Well, fire team -1.
Juski, Beckett, Goldrick, Driscoll, these are good guys. Why did they get wrapped up in this thing?
Not everyone has your unwavering restraint in the face of temptation, Cole.
Well, now we know that that was entirely sarcastic.
You drive. I need to go over the case notes.
This isn't looking good. I feel like the fat kid at the back of a race.
You sure it's Cohen making the hits?
All fingers point his way. Your buddies are in way over their heads. Being a Marine doesn't mean shit out here.
All right, let's kill these rat bastards.
Gotcha. So I think we just interrupted the evening meeting that happened between Courtney and Cohen.
Give me some goddamn cover!
Like, the two of them just finished having their discussion. Cohen just walked away. Courtney and his buddies are obviously gone from the area. And now we're just killing some of the goons who are...
They're making a run for it after them!
I don't know, sticking around. Yeah, if they're making a run for it, I can help stop that. Or, okay. I could just drive past them because they're not making a run for it. Oh, no, you don't. Huh. Guess Roy must have gotten the other guy.
I'm gonna put out an APB on every one of the sons of bitches on that list.
KGPL to Car 11K. Car 11 King, come in.
Car 11 King.
11K, go to Hollywood Station. Hey, Courtney Sheldon is at Hollywood Station requesting an interview with Detective Cole Phelps.
Well, I'll be damned.
That's not correct protocol, 11K. I'll take that as a roger.
Car 11 King en route.
Huh. I guess that's where Courtney was headed next. Don't know why we had to murder an extra bunch of Cohen's goons to find that out, though. Seems a bit excessive.
Every man for himself.
Go straight. It's the next right.
I guess this drive must have been short enough that I didn't bother to cut it out. Yeah. See, the Hollywood station is right over here. Nothing to say, but no time is really lost.
Roy, in my office, if you please.
I'm working a major case. I'm not close, Cap. It's gonna have to wait.
Let Phelps do the interrogation.
But, Cap...
No buts. This is more important.
Why does Cole look happy with this turn of events? Well, anyway, you got a job to do.
I don't know who'd be worse. Sheldon, is this your attorney?
No, detective. This is Dr. Harlan Fontaine. He came down here to help me out.
How do you do, sir?
You stole the morphine from the Coolidge.
You can't prove that.
Let's see if I can try. And what is your relationship to Sheldon, sir?
Tutor, mentor. Mr. Sheldon is a medical student of mine. He has a very bright future.
Oh, that's nice to know. Too bad all of your war buddies won't get to see your graduation. I would have asked Beckett or Majewski or Driscoll about their involvement, but that's difficult, considering they're all dead. That leaves you, Sheldon.
You can't blame their deaths on me, Phelps.
Can't I?
You're lying, Courtney. The other guys aren't smart enough to attempt something like this. You either give it up, or I go after Jack for it.
And how do you prove that, Cole?
Well, one of them had a note on him.
We know about your showdown with Cohen. We found notes on your guys.
Cohen is hitting our old dude. He believes we have the morphine. I told him that we don't have it. And that's the truth. Isn't it, Doc?
I believe Mr. Sheldon. I think he's telling the truth, Detective.
It's nice of you to do my job for me.
You were on the ship, Sheldon.
Yes, that's correct.
So you had opportunity.
But it doesn't mean that I was involved.
So you don't mind that the mob executed McGoldrick, Driscoll, and Beckett to get to you?
I don't know why you're trying to pin this on me. Where's your proof?
Well, another one of your buddies said something before he died.
Beckett had a message for you before he died. Bad luck. It was worth a try.
I feel bad about Beckett, Phelps. He was a hard charger. Those guys deserve more. I don't blame them for taking their shot.
Have you finished, Detective?
I'm just getting started. You have an answer for everything, Courtney. Let's hope Jack does, because now I'm going after him. Is there anyone you're not prepared to sacrifice?
Jack is not in this. He's a good guy.
You or Jack, Courtney. I don't care who goes to jail. I just want the morphine off the street.
What are you offering, Cole?
Don't be ridiculous, son. This man is gambling.
What's your offer?
Doctor, good to see you.
I'm conducting an investigation.
Upstairs in my office, now.
This man is about to confess.
As of now, you're suspended from duty, pending a fitness review.
What are you talking about?
You heard the man, Phelps. Upstairs and face the music like the hero you were. You certainly had us fooled, Detective. Phelps, you're one of my favorite sons. You've broken this old man's heart.
Sir, what is going on here?
You're suspended, Phelps. Hand over your badge and gun.
Don't keep him waiting.
What is going on here?
Your wife's attorney has pictures of you and the German. Compromising pictures, lad.
She's pressing charges. You'll be formally charged with adultery. A criminal cannot serve as an LAPD officer, as I'm sure you're aware.
I don't understand.
How could you do it, lad? Your wife, your children, consorting with the enemy and a dope fiend at that. You're lucky the war is over. You'd be taken out and shot. The department doesn't need this kind of publicity, Phelps. Hand over the gun, keep your head down until your board hearing. I forbid you to make any comments to the press. What the hell were you thinking?
Actually, the department desperately needs this kind of publicity. Man, they're lucky Cole had that adulterous love affair. Otherwise, they'd be shit out of luck.
Marie, listen, Marie, I need to explain.
Please leave. You're upsetting the girls.
Let me see them, Marie. They're my daughters.
Go to her, Cole. You have done enough damage here. Do you want me to call the police?
For God's sake, Marie. Can't we at least talk?
What is there to talk about? Do you love her? Do you? What were you thinking? What about our children? Can you imagine what this has been like for them? Go away, Cole. My father has hired an attorney and you will be hearing from him.
I'd like to explain, Marie. I'd like to tell you what I've been going through.
What you've been going through. I have had reporters camped out on the front lawn all morning. I can't stand it, Cole.
What's all that trash in the yard? You're not even gonna take your luggage? Oh, well, at least she's willing to take him in, for no adequately explained reason. Yeah, this case could have been done so much better. Oh well. Today, we're going to be covering a movie that's a little bit different. For as much as it was influenced by its namesake, LA Noire also draws from war films, and there were certainly a lot of them coming out in the decade and a half after World War II ended. That's why, today, I'm covering a classic yet often overlooked war drama called To Hell and Back. The story about the story. So, I brought up the film Sergeant York a couple of times, and I may have mentioned that it was a film created during World War II about a Tennessee sniper who, in a World War I battle, shot so many Germans in a machine gun nest that over 100 men surrendered. But one thing I didn't mention was that this movie was based on a real-life person. In fact, that's the case more often than not when it comes to war movies. Everything from The Great Escape to the bridge on the River Kwai was based on real-life events, although how directly they were based varies significantly from one film to the next. For instance, the POW camp breakout, which The Great Escape was based on, was a real event, but most of the cast was fictionalized, and the fact that Americans were involved at all in the British escape was, for the most part, a Hollywood addition. Bridge on the River Kwai, meanwhile, is almost entirely fiction. Allied POWs were forced by the Japanese to build a bridge over a river in occupied Thailand, but the prisoners were treated like absolute dog shit by the Japanese since they were currently high on that whole warrior culture nonsense, and, like POW laborers the world round, they did everything they could to sabotage the Japanese efforts. Also, thousands of POWs died in the process, along with tens of thousands of conscripted civilian laborers. Today's movie is more on the honest side of things, or at least as honest as you could expect from 1955. Like Sergeant York, To Hell and Back centers around a highly decorated American soldier, Audie Murphy, and it's based on that man's autobiography, which bears the same name. Also, the film's star is Audie Murphy. The movie isn't any sort of vanity project, by the way, and Murphy wasn't a case of stunt casting. Following his return from Europe, Murphy was discovered by James Cagney when he saw him on the cover of Life magazine. Cagney trained Murphy in acting for 2 years, and although the two would part ways in 1947, Murphy kept up his training even as he worked with a writer to produce his autobiography, which was published in 1949. That same year, he got his first leading role thanks to the King of Poverty Row, Allied artists, along with some help provided by patriotic theater owners in Texas. After that, Murphy got picked up by Universal Studios and got starring roles in a long string of films, mostly war movies and westerns for fairly obvious reasons. By 1955, his filmography was 12 movies deep. And when Universal decided to adapt his story, Murphy initially declined the lead role and suggested a different actor. But he was eventually convinced, and the film would go on to become Universal's biggest hit up to that point. And as for why Audie Murphy would have wanted to avoid playing himself in the movie, it wasn't just because he was 10 years older. Hopefully you'll understand what I'm getting at by the time we finish the story. Once the opening credits end, we meet General Walter Bedell Smith, a retired Army general who acts as our narrator and informs us that this movie is not going to be about a major battle or a big wartime event. It's going to be about the grunts, about the life and times of the foot soldiers who filled the ranks and dealt with the hardships of war. He also mentions that our subject today, Audie Murphy, is the single most decorated soldier for combat action in the history of the United States. The story begins with Audie at 12 years old, a kid in northeast Texas who was already skilled with a rifle since he had to hunt game to help feed his large family. His father abandoned them some time ago, although the film tiptoes around that point. But at the same time, Audie has to go to his neighbor, Mr. Houston, to ask for a full-time job. Mrs. Houston argues against the point and says his older sister should help them out, but she's already helping as best she can, considering she has a family of her own. Eventually, Mr. Houston agrees, and so we hear some disconcertingly jaunty music as a 12-year-old boy quits school to work for a living in order to support his family. Several years pass, and the real Audie Murphy appears. His mother is sick, dying, in fact, and when he stops by the Houston home, he hears about the Pearl Harbor attack. Later, in 1942, his mother dies, and his siblings are placed in a public institution since he's too young to act as their guardian. With nothing to tie him down anymore, Audie talks to Mr. Houston about joining the military. Audie will have to get a letter of permission since he's underage, but Houston is willing to give him one. By the way, Houston's character has been nothing but an extended advertisement for the armed forces, constantly talking about getting marketable skills and a decent pension. Also, in real life, Audie lied about his age to join the army, and his first attempt to join was right after Pearl Harbor, since, in reality, his mother was already dead by then. Anyway, back with movie Audie, he gets rejected by every branch of the armed services until the army decides to take him. We then spend a little time with Audie on the ship to North Africa, where he gets extremely seasick. On shore, we see that Audie is joining the 3rd Infantry Division, 15th Regiment, Baker Company, 3rd Platoon. As you might expect, the older, more experienced soldiers don't make much of the short and young Audie. That evening, we get to know some of the men of 3rd Platoon. Kovac is a Polish immigrant studying for his citizenship test. He's also one of the few soldiers to hang onto his stove, which he shares with a quiet Native American who smokes cigars and goes by Chief. Johnson is a womanizer who loves telling tales about all the ladies he's known. Kerrigan is a friendly guy who tells awkward jokes and gives Murphy the nickname Little Texas. Valentino is a half Italian American. Brandon is a divorced father who takes Murphy under his wing. One day, the company commander calls Murphy into his tent and goes over his record. He was sick for a week following his inoculations. He was sick the whole trip across the Atlantic, and when he requested to join the paratroopers, he was turned down for physical deficiencies. The captain wants to transfer him out of the rifle unit, but Murphy insists on sticking with combat duty. Reluctantly, the captain allows him to stay, and then points out to his lieutenant that Murphy also signed up for every education course the Army offered and has been spending his pay on war bonds for his family. Later still, Murphy returns to Casablanca after vacationing in Alaska and spends a night out with his unit, dancing with a woman who goes by Cleopatra. A French announcer interrupts the radio broadcast, and suddenly all the French speakers in the room start cheering. The Germans have surrendered in Tunisia, which means the African continent now belongs to the Allies. One of the men talks about going home without seeing any combat, but of course they're getting shipped off to Sicily instead. As the men wait to hit the beach in the landing craft, Valentino starts talking about visiting Naples, a major city in southern Italy. His mother's family still live there, and she asked him to check up on them if he ends up in the area. The landing itself turns out to be quite easy and entirely made up of stock footage, but as the platoon advances into the hills of Sicily, a German machine gun opens up on them, killing the lieutenant. Murphy, Brennan, and Johnson go with the sergeant to check out the German position, but the sergeant gets hit when he tries to go back to inform the rest of the platoon. In response, the three of them advance on the machine gun, toss in some grenades, and then shoot some German reinforcements as they crest the nearby hill. In the process, Brandon takes some very foolish risks. The general from earlier comes back to explain that Sicily fell 38 days later, but that this didn't really mean much to the foot soldier, who only knew that he always had to march to a new position. Back at the 3rd Platoon camp, Lieutenant Manning shows up to replace the dead one, and at the same time, Murphy gets promoted to corporal. He's not sure why he got promoted, but he doesn't get a say in the matter. Next, we're in Italy, where the 3rd Platoon passes a line of wounded and exhausted British troops who are leaving the front lines. They advance up to the Volturno River, located just north of Naples, where the Germans have destroyed all the bridges. And although the shore is quiet, it's obvious the Germans are hiding on the other side. After dark, the 15th Regiment reach the riverbank and start digging in. They also find out, much to their chagrin, that they get to be the diversion, and Murphy's Baker Company will be starting things off. Murphy and Brandon have a quiet talk about Brandon's home and his ex-wife, how maybe he should try to patch things up if he gets home again. For his part, Murphy is thinking of going career. Their talk is interrupted by Sergeant Klasky, who wants Murphy's squad to sneak across the river and stir things up. On his way over, Murphy tells Brandon to head to the command post. He and his men then swim across the river, open up on some Germans, and then flee back to their side as a machine gun covers their retreat. When Murphy gets back on shore, Brandon complains that he was left behind because he was getting sentimental, but Murphy tells him that it's because he takes too many chances. The next morning, the 15th Division opens up and starts getting hammered by German artillery. Sergeant Klasky dies in the bombardment, and Lieutenant Manning gets hit, so Murphy gets command of the platoon for being the first corporal to reach the radio. At this point, though, there's not much to do aside from lead the platoon across the river once the artillery shells stop raining down. The narrator returns again to tell us that the 3rd Division advanced up the peninsula, only to stall out at Cassino, a small town in the mountains between Naples and Anzio. Everything is rainy, muddy, and miserable, and tempers are flaring. On the bright side, though, Lieutenant Manning finally gets back, and the company is heading back to Naples for some leave. Manning also promotes Murphy to sergeant and Johnson to corporal. In Naples, the soldiers enjoy the local sights and the local ladies, and Valentino heads off to find his family, bringing them a spare set of boots as a gift. The rest of the men get hassled by some war orphans who are asking for cigarettes, chocolate, and other handouts. However, one of the kids is too proud to take the chocolate. Johnson, Murphy, and Brandon all go to a local bar and discover that the women are hanging out with the Army Air Force men, since they're stationed in Naples. The infantrymen get together and sing an insulting song. Then they start a bar fight that gets broken up by the military police. They get out of it by blaming everything on the poor, confused bar owner, and although it's a pretty obvious excuse, the MPs let them off with a warning. Murphy heads out and spots that proud boy from earlier shining boots, so he gets his boots shined, and tries to hand him the chocolate as payment, but his older sister stops him, saying, "There is no begging here." However, she does say that they can share their meal with him, and that he can then share his chocolate with them. Murphy goes and eats at their house, although the mother insists on no English spoken at the dinner table. Unfortunately, the meal is interrupted by air raid sirens. Meanwhile, Johnson goes with a native girl back to her place, but it's only to talk about his real girlfriend. Turns out he makes up all his stories about women since his buddies would otherwise feel obligated to make fun of his girl. Also, Kerrigan gets his boots stolen by another woman. When we cut back to Murphy, he and the girl he met are alone, since the rest of her family fled to a bomb shelter, and the two of them embrace. She explains that the reason her mother doesn't like English is because the English killed her older brother in Africa. She doesn't hold a personal grudge, but she also doesn't like the reminder. It's then implied that the two of them have sex, mostly from the look of satisfaction Murphy has when he gets on the troop transport the next day. Back on the front lines, the 3rd Division takes part in an amphibious assault on Anzio, a city halfway between Naples and Rome. There they get bogged down by 5 German divisions who might otherwise have repelled the invasion of Normandy. Down in the trenches, we see Johnson's squad fleeing a farmhouse, the only standing building for miles, while at the same time 3 replacement soldiers join the platoon. Murphy covers the squad's retreat, but another new soldier panics and gets shot as he tries to flee. The farmhouse has traded hands 11 times already, but it's so important as an observation post that they're going to have to take it back again. More men get shot in the assault, but when Johnson feels something hit him, it turns out it took out his can of beans. Murphy leads a successful charge into the building, but not before both Lieutenant Manning and Private Kovac die to machine gun fire. Soon afterwards, a line of German tanks approach, but the artillery lieutenant sets up just in time to direct fire and destroy one of the tank treads, paralyzing the advance since the fields are too muddy for tanks to cross. That evening, one of the newbies comes in with Kovac's stove. Chief angrily grabs it from him and buries it out in the yard, still saying nothing but obviously in anguish. Murphy then hears the Germans trying to repair the busted tank, and when he brushes off the newbies on his way out, Johnson explains to them that experienced soldiers don't like to make friends. because then it hurts a bit less when they see their fellow soldiers die. Murphy leads a successful assault on the tank, and the next morning, Captain Marks shows up to ask Murphy to take a battlefield commission, a promotion to second lieutenant. Murphy doesn't think he's qualified though, and he doesn't want to transfer out of the platoon, but the argument is interrupted when the Germans start advancing across the drying fields. The platoon retreats away from the farmhouse, but in the process, Johnson gets hit for real and dies. 4 months into the fighting at Anzio, an armored division finally lands and the Allies successfully push through to Rome. There, 3rd Platoon gets word that they're getting more amphibious training for a landing in southern France. And once there, they get ambushed again by German machine guns. This time the chief gets one in the leg, which means he'll be going home. Brandon leads a patrol to scout the position, but when half his men take bullets, Murphy heads up to see what's going on. The 2 men head up to try and flank the nest, but Brandon dies when he jumps out of cover too soon. In response, Murphy grabs a machine gun from the one nest they cleared and just murders everybody. He then spends a moment to mourn his fallen friend. Later on, the battalion commander offers Murphy a battlefield commission again, along with a spot at West Point Academy and a promise not to transfer him, and this time he accepts. Murphy gets back to his unit just as they prepare to attack an observation post, along with 2 tanks. They manage to destroy the post, but not before Kerrigan gets hit in the arm by German shrapnel. Finally, Murphy's company advances on Holzwehr, a town on the French side of the German border, and thanks to German artillery fire, their flanks are exposed during a German advance. Murphy orders a retreat, but he stays behind to personally direct artillery fire into the German ranks. As they continue to advance, Murphy climbs onto a burning Sherman tank, which in real life was a burning M10 tank destroyer, and fires its machine gun even after being wounded until the Germans are forced to turn back. I feel I should add, by the way, that Murphy's actions on this day were actively toned down from what he did in real life. Specifically, he fired that machine gun for a fucking hour straight until it ran out of ammunition in the bitter cold of January 1945. And then he continued to advance with his platoon after a medic quickly patched up his leg. Anyway, we catch up with Movie Murphy in the hospital, where he talks with a still recovering Kerrigan about how his wound has disqualified him from further active military service, although he does at least get a promotion to first lieutenant. The film ends with Audie Murphy getting his Medal of Honor and remembering all his fallen friends during a military parade. Final thoughts. Oh, gather round me, comrades, and listen while I speak of a war, a war, a war where hell is 6 feet deep. Along the shore the cannons roar. Oh, how can a soldier sleep? The going's slow on Anzio, and hell is 6 feet deep. Praise be to God for this captured sod that rich with blood does seep, with yours and mine like butchered swines, and hell is 6 feet deep. That death awaits there's no debate, no triumph will we reap. The crosses grow on Anzio, where hell is 6 feet deep. The Crosses Grow on Anzio, written by Audie Murphy in 1948. He wrote it for his autobiography, although the text attributes it to one of his friends. In the 1960s, when Vietnam War veterans first began to speak publicly about post-traumatic stress disorder, Murphy was one of the World War II vets who stepped forward and said, no, these people are not just complaining, and they aren't all wimps. PTSD is a problem that affects soldiers of every generation, and we need a better way of treating it than morphine and addictive sleeping pills. Both aspects of the issue were intimately familiar to Murphy, who had spent so much of World War II on the front lines. He suffered from insomnia, nightmares, and depression after he got home, and apparently he once broke down in tears while watching a documentary about German war orphans. He was also prone to bouts of anger, even before he joined the army, and his PTSD did not help matters one bit. the VA doctors treated his symptoms with Placidil, a sleeping drug, and in the mid-60s, he realized that he had become addicted. So, he locked himself in a hotel room for a week to get clean. In 1971, Audie Murphy died in a plane crash, and he was subsequently buried with full honors at Arlington National Cemetery. His is the second most visited grave in the cemetery, right behind the grave of JFK. They had to put in a special paved walkway to accommodate all the visitors. You can even get right up next to the gravestone on Google Maps. As a band Sabaton once said in their 2014 song To Hell and Back, a song which incorporates much of Murphy's own poetry, "If there be any glory in war, let it rest on men like him." Thanks for joining me again for today's film review. I hope you'll join me next time for an example of how Fritz Lang helped define all the noir genre cliches.